Hello everyone and welcome back to All the Mods 7 Season 2, Episode 13, the Baker's Dozen of episodes. And today, I think we've put it off long enough. It's time to get ready to go to space. But we've got a lot of prep to do before we get to that point, so let's go. So in between episodes, you can see I sort of built a building around our ugly tree farm that we had here. So we now have a building around it with some very nice purple ceilings. And then over here, since we don't have the ability to actually grow these in immersive engineering garden cloches, we've got our pepper field. So we've got pepper in one, we've got trees in another, and I'll dress this up a little bit more as time goes along here. And then you notice there's little names running around up there. We actually started our Mine Colonies colony. However, they're kind of just milling around right now. We've got a guard, so that's good. We've got, Ainsley, where are you going? Or Ansley, what is your name? It's Ansley, that's right. I don't know where Ansley's going, but she doesn't have a job yet, so she'll just wander around. But we did get both of those started. We got a little bit more work on the mountain over here done, so it looks like an actual mountain now that they're on top of. We've still got to do a little bit of work up there, just to get it in something resembling, good order. So, not much down here. We did not get a chance to work on the bottom of the Nautilus. It is still just sort of a shell over there in the distance. So, I mean, it still looks cool from up there. Just when you get closer to it, you can start to see how the sausage is made here. So, we still need to work on the rest of that just to get it up to code and looking nice. But today, that is not the day for this. Today is the day that we are going to start working on going to space. And we need a lot of stuff to go to space. Specifically, we need a lot of this stuff to go to space. We need a lot of steel. So I've got everything pinned up here as far as all the stuff we're going to need to be able to actually take our first step towards having a presence in space and being space pirates. And it's a lot. So we've got the workbench, we've got the rocket pieces, we have the rocket itself, obviously. We've got all of our different spacesuit kind of stuff. So we just need a ton of stuff. So what I'm going to do is we're going to actually be using an area that you may remember that I've been saving for something special, and that is that skyship that we found that I renamed the Caspertine, and some of you got the reference, which I appreciate. That is going to be our launching platform for going to space. So that's what we're going to be using as our base of operations. So we need a couple of things in order to be able to do that. First of all, we need to put down, a little ready room basically in the Caspertine and sort of dress it up a little bit. So we're going to do that as well. But we also need to make a whole bunch of different stuff. So the first thing we need is, do I actually have any beds in here? I do. Look at that. So there's our nice bed we can have for our area. But the first thing we really need to do is we've got to make a whole bunch of stuff. So here we go with the crafting. And I'm going to try and keep this to as much of a minimum as I possibly can, because I'm a big fan of episodes where I do something or I build something and you guys come along with me while I'm doing it, or we have an adventure, or we dress up a structure, we build a farm. This is just a whole bunch of crafting. So we're going to try and go through this as quickly as possible. So the first thing that we have to have before we can make any of this stuff, well, the rockets specifically, is the NASA workbench. So the NASA workbench, you got to have two levers, you got to have some steel, you got to have a redstone torch, and then you have to have this compressed steel. Well, what is compressed steel, you might ask? Well, compressed steel is simply two steel plates next to each other to be compressed. Pretty simple. So let's go ahead and we can just grab our engineer's hammer. Oop, if we have one, do we even have a hammer? We do have it. Okay, it's just kind of messed up. Got it. So we need to have a bunch of these plates. So let's just do, what do you figure, a stack? Probably a stack. So now we have a stack of these. Let's go ahead and make we're going to have to make 1, 2, 3, 4 steel plates. We'll put these back in our inventory. So now we should be able to make, if we go ahead and just throw those up there. Can we make this yet? Or are we missing? We're missing levers and the redstone torch. Of course we are. So let's go ahead and make the redstone torch. We're going to need a couple more of those, actually. And some levers. Let's just make a stack of levers. we'll need them at some point. So now we can go ahead and make our NASA workbench. Ta-da! And we get the achievement that is NASA workbench. We has crafted NASA workbench. Ta-da! Alrighty. Well, that was easy enough. So that we can go ahead and take off of our build HUD here. So we got that taken care of. So we have the biggest piece of being able to actually put together our rockets, which is the NASA workbench, done. The rocket itself takes quite a bit of different stuff. It takes steel tanks, it takes steel engines, it takes more of this compressed steel, rocket nose cone, all different kinds of stuff. But one of the other things you may notice that we need is we need to actually have a spacesuit. And we need oxygen tanks, because there's no oxygen in space. Aren't you so terribly glad I'm here to tell you these things? So yeah, there's no oxygen in space. So oxygen tanks, necessary. Oxygen tanks are pretty easy to make. You need 3 red wool, some iron plates, and an iron ingot. Ta-da! Well, we don't need red wool. Of course we don't. Why would we? All right, so let's go ahead and make ourselves some red wool. Let's say 12. That sounds good. So we're going to make 1, 2, 3, we need more iron plates. And we have 4 oxygen tanks. Fantastic. So a lot of this stuff I'm just going to go ahead and toss into my backpack because we're going to need it, along with, you notice I have these fluid pipes, some tesseracts, some energy pipes, and a pipe wrench in here. We're going to need all of those things in order to be able to do all of the stuff necessary to get to space. Like I said, there's a lot of crafting involved here. Now, as far as the suit, that's actually fairly straightforward. It's just iron plates, iron helmet. I mean, pretty simple stuff. So we do need to make ourselves an iron helmet, so that's fine. So we should have enough for the oxygen mask. We do. Fantastic. So we can take that off of our HUD. Next is the space suit, which takes iron plates, 2 oxygen tanks, and oxygen gear, and some of that. So what's an oxygen gear? Well, that's iron plates, an iron rod, steel, and iron nuggets. What do we have here? What are we missing? What are we missing? We're missing the iron rod. Well, we can fix that pretty quick since we have an iron farm that makes us unlimited amounts of iron. So, okay, there's our... Did we not make it? What's going on here? Iron... Yeah, it's right there. There we go. That was weird. Okay, so we got that made. So now we should have everything to make this. The tanks. We've got the tanks in our... We just put the tanks in our backpack because we're smart. Okay, let's put that there and that there. And there's our space suit. Fantastic. So we can take that off. Space pants. Pants in space. There's our space pants. And space boots take 2 more iron plates, which we are now out of. So I'm going to have to make some more iron plates. I'm sure we'll need more. And we now have space boots. So we have the full suite of space stuff. So let's go ahead and take off this and put on all this and see how we look. We probably look absolutely ridiculous. Yep, pretty ridiculous looking. That's a thing. That's a thing we can wear. Stop laughing at me. I know you are. Okay. So so we've got all that. But that's not all, because not only can we make regular spacesuits, but we can make netherite spacesuits, and that is what we want. Because is it as good as diamond? No, not really. I mean, the weird thing is like the spacesuit is less armor than the pants, which is kind of weird. But we can go ahead and make those. So if we go ahead and pull out our netherite, get 4 ingots of that. And we can go over here and make ourselves a whole bunch of netherite gear. Ooh, what's netherite space boots? Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So, netherite space boots, netherite space pants, netherite space suit, and netherite oxygen mask. Fantastico. So how does this look on us, I wonder? Does this look any less ridiculous? Let's find out. Not really, it's just ridiculous in gray. It's ridiculous and 95% non-white. Right. So we do have that. So now we've got our full netherite spacesuit. Notice, however, that this has 0 oxygen with it. Well, You need oxygen to be able to actually make it to space so you can breathe. Because once again, as we mentioned earlier, just to recap for the rest of the class, there's no oxygen in space. So we've got to actually make oxygen to be able to do that. How do we do that? Well, we have to have this oxygen loader in order to be able to put oxygen onto our suit, basically. However, we also grabbed out of the fishing thing a little bit earlier. Where'd it go? We grabbed a book. I saw it before. Did we get it? There's a book over here that I thought I kept. Maybe I didn't. There is an enchantment that we can put on our suit that is called space breathing. That apparently will allow you to breathe beyond Earth dimensions. So I guess we can enchant all this stuff. Which I did not realize. So let's go grab some levels and we can try to actually enchant our new space armor here. And after some enchanting and then combining books, we've got some pretty good armor, I think. We've got boots with Depth Strider, Feather Falling, Unbreaking 4. I did not realize that it could go beyond 3, but apparently so. And you can stack different types of protection on as well. But I decided to just basically go with straight protection on 3 pieces. 2 pieces and then projectile protection on 2 pieces. But you can stack protections in this, which is kind of interesting. But I think we've got a pretty solid set of armor here with our netherite stuff. Now we just have to figure out a way to actually charge this with oxygen. I wonder if, now I'm curious, will this just charge up if we put it in here? No, it won't. Okay, so we've got to actually charge it with oxygen. Fair enough. I was kind of thinking that, but I wanted to double check just to make sure it wasn't dumber than I thought it was. So excellent. We have all of our various different stuff here as far as our suit. We're going to go ahead and put our suit up there while the blood moon starts. Of course it does. And continue along with our building spree. So we got everything enchanted. Unfortunately, that breathing in space enchantment didn't work, which is not great, but I guess I can kind of see it. So, because it's talking about powered armor, so I'm guessing some of the more powerful armor is what it actually works on. But now we need a bunch of other stuff here. So, in order to be able to actually build our rocket, notice we need all of these different pieces here. Well, we need the compressed steel, so we need 6 of those. And then we also need to have compressed steel for the rocket fins. We need to have compressed steel for the steel engine and everything else. But we also need to have different components in addition to that, too. So let's go ahead and put together all the stuff that we need for this first. So there's our engine frame. So we've got that. So we can go ahead and take that off of our hotbar. We've got our engine fan. We've got that, so we can take that off of our hotbar. We need our steel engine, which is the engine fan, a couple iron plates and that. So we can go ahead and put that together. Beautiful. So we've got our steel engine done. How many steel tanks did we need? We needed 2. So 2 steel tanks. So 1, 2. So there's that. So we can take that off of our hotbar. This is really handy to have, by the way. And if you don't know how to use this, this is just JEI. You go over here, like say I wanted to have this compressed netherite block times 7 on the hotbar so I could just get to it quickly so I don't have to search for it. You just hover over it and press A, and it automatically puts it over here into your little hotbar. And you press A to get rid of it, which is nice. Okay, so we've got our steel tank, we've got our steel engine, so those are good. Now we just need to have the compressed steel, the nose cone, and the fins. So the nose cone takes compressed steel and 3 ingots, so which means we need to have that. So there's that. And our nose cone, done. So we've got most of the components now. Now we just need to actually have the rocket fins, which we need 4 of. And another one, there's our rocket fins. So we've got that ready to go. And now, so we can go ahead and take that off the hotbar. So now all we need is these 6 compressed steel plates, which we have. So we have all the components for our rocket right here, ready to go. So let's go ahead and put those away in our backpack. So there's all the components for our rocket. So we've got our workbench, rocket components, and our armor. So cool. We've got all those pieces ready to go. Now, so we can go ahead and take this and this off the HUD. Now we need these 3 machines. These 3 machines are going to be very important because they are the oxygen bubble distributor, which makes an oxygen bubble 3x31 blocks, which might be something we would like. An oxygen loader, which effectively, if you look at its uses here, creates oxygen and then uses energy to basically put oxygen into your spacesuit or into your oxygen cans or what have you. Now, we can make an oxygen can that goes into one of our curio slots, which is basically a backup for oxygen, and that might actually be something worth making. We need 3 more iron plates for it. So let's just go ahead and go find one of our hammers. There we go. 1, 2, 3. Doink. Done. So we need that. And I don't know why it's not coming up with the iron rods here, but there we go. So now we have an oxygen can in addition to our oxygen tank. Now, in addition to our suit, too. So basically we'd have the oxygen in our suit plus this can, which is another 24,000 millibucks of oxygen. I don't know how long that's going to last, but I'm hoping it's long enough. So now we have an oxygen can as well. But we need to make all of this stuff. So let's go ahead and make the oxygen loader first. Notice it takes an oxygen tank, 3 iron plates, iron, and a furnace. Pretty simple to make. So if we go over here, oh yeah, we're out of everything. That's fantastic. Give me a second while I make all this stuff. There we go. There's our oxygen loader made and ready to go. Into our backpack it goes, so we can go ahead and take it off our hotbar. Now we've got the fuel refinery and the bubble distributor and a jumbo tank. The reason I have a jumbo tank here is because we're going to have the fuel refinery that basically is going to be turning oil into fuel. And the way that that's going to happen is we actually have a oil deposit that we found that we're going to turn that oil into fuel just by basically processing it. Because if you notice over here, this fuel refinery, click on it, go to uses, so it will turn oil into fuel. And once again, it uses energy, which is fine. We have a nuclear reactor. It's all good. So, yeah, we can basically put in any type of different thing, any kind of tank to carry it around. So we're going to effectively have this jumbo tank that's going to be holding it. Now, I might try and play around with the idea of tesseracts, allowing you to actually pipe the stuff into the tesseract and then have the tesseract pipe it from another location into the tank. That might be something we look into. But first, we need to go ahead and make a new jumbo tank, which means we need a whole bunch of these singularity tanks. 2, 3, 4. There we go. Jumbo tank. There's our jumbo tank. Beautiful. That's done. And as far as the fuel refinery goes, it's real simple to make. It's just a couple of buckets, iron, steel, redstone, and a furnace. And that's done. Easy enough. Okay, well, those go into our backpack. And then lastly, the oxygen bubble distributor. Now, this only takes an oxygen loader and an engine fan, which is good. So let's go ahead and make ourselves another engine fan. And we're going to make ourselves another oxygen loader, but I've already made a whole bunch of different stuff here, so I thought I made another oxygen tank. I guess I didn't. Well, we can do that real quick. Oxygen tank, oxygen loader, oxygen bubble distributor. Fantastico. And then you go view on this, and basically it turns water into oxygen, and it creates a bubble around it, which is pretty nice for, going to space. You have no idea where you're going. So now we have all of the machines and all of the parts crafted for this. So everything is ready to go. And notice we didn't use, if you go look at our steel reserves here, we are still doing really well. We started off with like 680. We only used 170 steel for this. So it makes me feel kind of sheepish about building this iron farm that we now have like 4,000 irons sitting around. And we didn't really need that much. But hey, we needed an iron farm anyway, right? And now that we have everything ready to go, we have the Caspertine to go visit. And here we are back on board the Caspertine, where we are going to have our main, basically our headquarters. This is going to be our version of, Cape Canaveral. This is going to be the Caspertine here. So we need to figure out a spot, the best spot for our launch court. I think right here actually would be good. So we can just launch from the top deck, basically. So let's go ahead and go down here, and we'll use this bottom part as our fabrication center. Yes, I still need to fill in that hole, I know. But we'll just use the bottom as our fabrication center for all of this. So let's go ahead and I grabbed a bunch of stuff out of the chests that were left here, so I'm out of room. Hang on one second as we move some crap around here. And there's our workbench, looking very, very futuristic and stuff. Luckily, it doesn't take any power, so we can just go ahead and fabricate whatever it is that we want on this particular thing. So let's grab all of our rocket parts. So we're going to toss this in here. So our 6 of those go there, those 2 go there, those 2 go there, the engine's there, the tanks are there, and the nose cone is there. And we have a Tier 1 rocket. And we even get an advancement. Tier 1 rocket has crafted a Tier 1 rocket. Hooray us. Now, if I remember correctly, yeah, this... I am very strong. You know how they have that giant, tractor thing that they move the rockets around with on Cape Canaveral? Yeah. Rookie numbers. We don't need that. We've got this. We've got me. I can just carry the rocket wherever I want to go. So let me just go ahead and set it down, I think. Or do we can't set it down? Oh, really? Do we need a launch pad? I wonder if we need a launch pad. Hang on. That could be a thing that I didn't think of. And sure enough, we needed a launch pad, which is an actual launch pad block. So, yeah, I was unaware of this, and I apologize. But yeah, it's real simple. It's plates, iron, steel, and it makes 9 of them. So this should be plenty for what we have in mind here. So if we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9... So there's our launch pad. So now we should be able to put our rocket down right there. That is so cool. Now, granted, it's only a Tier 1 rocket, but it's still really, really cool. That's neat. The other thing that I made over here was actually this fuel loader, which you need to be able to actually load the rocket with fuel, which is kind of probably a handy thing to have. Now, notice on this one, so if you go in here and check, basically internal fluid tank can receive beyond Earth vehicle fuel, tagged fluid, then give fuel to rover or rockets within 2 blocks. Fantastic. There we go. That's where the fuel loader goes. So if we show the working area, as you can see, it's well within the working area. Freaking-tastic. Okay, so we'll hide that. So now we've got the fuel loader, we've got our rocket, we've got our launch pad. Now all we need to do is, make everything else. Which is going to be interesting because I've never actually done anything with oil in this particular, well, not even this particular mod pack. I've never done anything with oil, period, as far as like making stuff with oil. And yeah, making fuel, I haven't done that. I've always gone straight to nuclear or wind or solar or something along those lines. Haven't done fuel before, so this is going to be interesting. And here we are at the site of our future oil refinery. I don't think we're going to need quite this much room, but I figured I'd clear out some of it here. And we do have, well, we did have, where'd they go? We had whales, and then they just ran off. I mean, you wouldn't figure something that big would be able to run off that quickly, but it totally did. But anyway, so here's our oil. So now I've just got to figure out exactly how to get it over into our oil refinery. So, that being the case, let's go ahead and pop down our fuel refinery right about there. That sounds good. And then we're going to pop down our... Oh, there he is. I knew there... Like I said, it's kind of hard for something like that big to disappear. So let's go ahead and pop down our Tesseract here. We're going to supply it with energy from the Tesseract. So let's grab our energy pipe. Energy pipe's going to go there. We're going to have this. Number 1, it's going to be receive only. Activate. There we go. All right, and after a whole bunch of trial and error, we got this to work finally. So, unfortunately, I have to use this fluid barrel because the big singularity tank I had does not work with it. So, basically, you just dump oil in here, it turns it into fuel, the fuel gets put over into this fluid barrel, and you're good. But in order to be able to get all this stuff in here, right now is a very manual process. You just dump in oil, it puts it over here, and then it refines it over here into fluid on this side. I want to do this automatically, just by basically pumping all of this oil into this fuel refinery. Now, unfortunately, I think there's only a couple of ways to do that. So if we go to fluid pumps, we've got the water pump from Beyond Earth, but it does do a fluid transfer. So it's not necessarily just for water. We also have the immersion engineering fluid pump, which we're familiar with for making our garden cloche, and we can hook that up to the power from the Tesseract as well to power it. So that's also a possibility. Then it's just a matter of pumping the fluid in over here and then collecting it in our fluid barrel over on this side. So right now it's manual and it's slow, but as you can notice, we've already got 3,600 millibuckets of fuel, which is good. Now it's just a matter of kind of trying to automate this. But I think for right now, doing it manually isn't the end of the world because, like I said, we've almost got this fluid barrel up to full at this point. So, and we can just put this directly into our fuel loader and we should be fine, I think. I hope, maybe, possibly, perhaps. So let's just dump a little bit more fuel into this one. Where'd my bucket go? Did I leave it in here? I did leave it in there. So let's just go ahead and dump a little bit more oil in. And that should, I mean, we've got almost 12,000 millibuckets. So that's what, 120 buckets of oil? Is that enough? I think that's enough to make enough fuel for it, I think. Maybe, possibly, perhaps, hopefully. All right. Yeah, and unfortunately, there's really no good way to pipe this out through the Tesseract unless we had it going to an external tank. Maybe that would... I wonder if that would work. If we could just do a fluid pipe over here and put it into like an ender tank and then pump that over to the Caspertine. Now there's an idea. Maybe that would work. We'll have to try that later on. But for right now, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get this filled up, and we're going to take it back manually over to our rocket and go from there. So we're totally using like 1950s technology. If any of you saw the space program in the 50s, this is probably actually a step up from a lot of that. Yeah, all right. So this is working out just fine. Now it's just a matter of getting this fuel back over there and making sure we have a full load of it. And here we are back at our rocket. Let's go ahead and go to our fuel loader and go ahead and put this in and see if it actually will work. Does it need power? Do I need to click on the... Oh, no. Don't want to launch. Nope, can't launch. So, well, it's got 100% fuel. Nice. Alrighty. Well then, let's just go ahead and leave this in for future launches. So it just moved on its own, didn't it? So, yeah, we could totally launch if we wanted to, but we don't want to yet because, first of all, we have no air. Second of all, we need to sleep. But the air problem we can totally solve with our little oxygen loader here. So basically, as you can see, this is now creating oxygen. So if we go take our chest piece off and then toss it in here, it will slowly but surely get oxygen in there. And we can do the same with our oxygen canister that we've got over here. Now, this is another thing that we can automate. And actually, the way we're going to automate this is real simple and kind of dumb. But just watch this. And yeah, like I said, this is kind of dumb. But this sink is an infinite water source. So all we have to do is put a fluid pipe on there, do this, and it now gets infinite water. So we now have all the oxygen we could ever possibly want, as long as our energy holds out. And since we're working off a nuclear reactor, I don't see that happening anytime soon. So, yeah. We just gotta wait for this to fill up now, which takes a while. Unfortunately, this isn't the fastest thing in the world. Something I did notice, though, is that if you look at the recipes here, basically it only uses 1 FE per tick. So those solar panels that we got early on when I was trying to get the garden cloche to work would be able to power this no problem, which is kind of interesting. It's like 1 solar panel, it gives you 5 FE per tick. So, yeah, it would actually work out pretty well, I think. But yeah, so we just got to wait for that to fuel up, and then we've got to do this. So that'll give us another 24,000 oxygen. So we'll have plenty of oxygen once all's said and done here. So let's just go ahead and wait for that. And while we're doing that, I'm going to put a whole bunch of stuff away that I picked up, just randomly here. So all this can now go. Well, as you can see by the upper left-hand corner of the screen there, we have fully charged our oxygen tanks, and we've got everything else. Our rocket's fueled. We've got a couple of blocks on us. I've eaten my lucky fish and chips meal before we go somewhere. So, yeah, I think this is the part in all those movies where you'd have like a really cool montage as everyone walked out the pad, isn't it? Okay, so maybe not the best montage in the world, but I kind of liked it. And as you can see, we brought a couple of friends with us to see us off here on the pad. We've got good old Sharky and our brand new companion, who is, thanks to the comments, Foxy the Fox. So those of you that like FNAF, you'll get the reference. If you don't, you'll just think it's kind of corny. But that's Foxy. So we got Foxy and Sharky are off to see us off into space when we go there. It's always good to have friends here to watch, but maybe I got a little bit too close to the pad. They'll be fine. So, all right. So you two be good while I'm gone, okay? Foxy, don't look at me like that. You can't go, man. I'm sorry. I only have room for one person in this rocket. You wouldn't fit, and I can't imagine having you in an enclosed space with me like for that long. So, yeah, sorry, but you got to stay here. Keep Sharky company, all right? Don't you two fight. All right, if you fight, I'm going to pull this rocket over. I swear to God. All right, well, I think we've put it off long enough. Here we go. How do I launch?
10, 9,
uh-oh.
Ignition sequence
7.
6,
Oh.
5, 4,
Oh.
3,
Here we go. Here we go.
0. All engine running.
Liftoff.
We have a liftoff.
And the clock is running.
Past the hour.
Execute roll program. Good roll program.
Power clear.
Go to the moon in this decade and do the other thing. Not because they are easy, but because they are hard.